Which is better, investing straight in your business or investing in yourself? What's the difference? Hey, Angela here, CEO of Hot Mess Consulting. And today we're talking about investments. Which is better, investing straight in your business or investing in yourself? What's the difference? What does a good investment look like versus what does a bad investment look like? What's the difference between an investment and an expense? And if you were going to invest in just one thing this year, what would it be? If the idea of investing in your business has you going around in circles and getting overwhelmed, I'm here for you and I get it. Stay tuned because in this video, I'm talking all about how to invest in your biz like a pro, or more specifically, where you need to invest in your biz to get the most bang for your buck based on whatever stage of business that you're at right now. And PS in advance, if you want to make sure that you never miss a thing we have to share, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to be notified when we post new videos. Okay, so when and where to invest in your business for 2021? Let's just start with a really basic, what should you be focusing on in 2021 in terms of your investments? Well, just like with everything else that we talk about, like goals and driving traffic to your website and other marketing strategies and which social media profiles you should be on. What you want to avoid with investments is all the shiny things, because there's definitely no lack of things that you can invest, on in your business, whether it's courses, web designers, branding experts, copywriters to get your messaging right, marketing experts, actual capital. Anyway, we'll get into all of that. But the thing is that you want to be very focused in where you're choosing to spend your money on what's going to be most impactful based on where you're at. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about to help you figure out where you should be investing specifically to your business. But the main thing to keep in mind here is also, along with just not trying to do all of the things at once, because you can't, and then you'll just be wasting all of your money instead. You just really want to stay in your own lane. Don't worry about what other people are investing in. Just worry about you and what makes sense for your business. Okay, so in order to help you decide, where to invest, you really need to go back to your goals. So your investment strategies for this year need to reflect on your specific goals. And different business owners have different goals. So what are your goals? The last video that we made was about goal setting, if that would be helpful for you to go through. But key thing there is if you don't have any goals and you want to think about your investments, just sit down and, first, just brain dump all of the different goals that you can think of for this year, but then pick, 2 to 3 to be your primary goals for this year. And those are the 2 to 3 that I want you to look at when you're looking at investments in your business. So whenever you come across something that you could invest, your money, but also it could be time. Sometimes it's not necessarily investment of money, it's time instead, or other resources. So whenever you get to a point where there's a possible investment, does this relate back to those specific goals? Basically is what you want to take a look at. So you also obviously want to check in with your finances. How much can you afford to invest? Here's the thing about investing that something that I've adopted for my own business is, never, ever, ever invest more than you can afford to lose. So pretend that however much money it was, you took the cash out of the bank, literal cash, not credit, right? Not to say that you can't invest with credit, but let's just call this actual cash. Can you just light that on fire and you'll be fine? Your business will be fine. You'll be fine personally. If the answer is no, then you might want to think about whether it's the time to invest, because yes, investments you should be able to see an ROI on, but that ROI is not always palpable. First of all, it's not necessarily always ROI in money. Sometimes you're saving time over the long run, which is money, right? But Sometimes you're saving energy or other resources. And then, yes, ideally, with a good investment, you're also getting a return on your actual money, but it can take time. You know what I mean? So, like, investing in Facebook ads is a really good example of this. Like, if you really are struggling and you really need to bring money in, Facebook ads is probably not the thing for you to invest in. And that might seem counterintuitive because you're like, but won't I make more money? Not necessarily. It can be trial and error to find the right Facebook ads expert, or if you're doing it yourself, for you to, that time that it takes you to learn and the money that you're spending on the ads in the meantime, so when you're at a place, and this is personally and business wise. Now, I recommend, even if you're filthy stinking rich, well, okay, maybe if personally you're filthy stinking rich, invest in whatever you want. Like, invest in in all of the things, in the top notch service providers. Like, go for it. But and if you're not, like most of the rest of us, filthy stinking rich, I know it's really easy, like, especially if you're more in the beginning of your business, but I've seen this even years later. It's really easy to keep putting your personal money into your business, but that is not the point of a business, right? So when I say, can you afford to light this money on fire? This money should also be money coming from your business, not from your personal bank account. Now, I understand in the beginning that there is some investment necessary, just to get your business going, but you need to focus on profit as soon as humanly possible. And from there, any investing done should be with money from the business. And again, money that technically you could afford to lose. That is how you can gauge how much you can afford to invest. And it doesn't mean, like, it could be scary. Like, it could be a really large investment, or it could be like, well, I guess I could sort of, afford to lose this money, but then what? Like, it doesn't have to be a perfect scenario, but I'm saying if losing this money is going to put you out of business, is going to mean that you can't pay your rent next month, or whether that's your storefront rent or even your personal rent, again, if you're dipping out of your own money. And then think about what is what is funding this investment? Is it your own salary, again, which should be your personal money? You really should be paying yourself, outside of the investing that you're doing and reinvesting that you're doing. Is it actual profit from the business? This would be ideal. Is it a loan? Now, my thoughts around using loan and credit for your business is very similar to what I've been talking about here, is that it's like the example of the Facebook ads. If you're struggling already and you're trying to get yourself out of that, that is not the time to go into more debt, whether it's credit or loan or what have you. The time to go into more debt when it comes to an investment, or even just to, like with such large payroll over here at Hot Mess, for example, I will sometimes pull out loans simply so that we have that buffer, you know what I mean? Of, like, with no intention to spend it. Now, some financial advisors would probably say that's a bad idea because you're still paying some sort of a percentage, right, to have that out. But for me, it's peace of mind knowing that we have some wiggle room, in the ups and downs of business. But if you're actually looking to spend that money on a particular investment, it has to come down to, if you don't get anything back for this, is this debt going to be debilitating to your business? Just bottom line, is this money coming from friends and family, an investor? So right or wrong is going to be highly dependent on your business, but a loan and credit is not a bad thing to use to invest further in your business. If your business is already doing well and it's already profitable and you're growing and you need, something in order to continue growing or grow even more, right? So you also want to start to think about, like, the difference thinking of things in terms of is it an investment or an expense? Investments are something that you should be able to get a return on. Now, again, it's not always a financial return, although in most cases, ideally it is. But again, it could be a return in additional time that you can now spend doing other things that are going to be revenue generating. It could be additional resources, like what additional energy. Don't underestimate energy, especially, if as the CEO and if you have like a lot of other things going on, the energy in which you can really dig in deep and get things done and accomplished and come up with new ideas and have the proper mindset for your business to keep growing forward. Like, that's invaluable, and when you're really busy and always in the weeds and always stressed out, you don't have that energy. So it all matters. But anyway, an investment is an expense, but for which the primary purpose is to change the future revenue of your business for the better. And then again, you have to remember that some investments are going to be shorter term in terms of like how long until you see the payback, and some are longer term. So you have to think about what your business is ready for right now. So what makes a good investment? Better equipment so that you can do your job better or more efficiently, more quickly, getting more done at once, all that kind of stuff. More inventory. Obviously, so inventory can be tricky in the e-com biz area because you could you could be bringing in a decent amount of revenue each month, but if you're overbuying, you're never going to actually see a profit. So you want to be really careful in terms of inventory, but it is at least capital that you can sell, right? And make money on later. It's not ideally anyway. So branding and marketing, hiring a mentor, hiring staff. These are all generally good investments. But again, it depends on where you're at in business too. So here's the thing. All of these could also be a bad investment. How can they be? So like if you hire a mentor that doesn't actually know any more than you do, or they don't know anything at all. I mean, there are so many coaches out there, and you really need to be mindful about what their experience is. Does it actually pertain to a product-based business? Or do they at least have the tools and skills needed to help someone that runs a product-based business? Just all kinds of things. So, whether you're hiring someone, whether it's some sort of a design or marketing expert, coach, your next employee, obviously these could all turn into bad investments as well if you don't make the decisions wisely. So part of this is drilling down into like what your goals are again, what you really need out of the situation, and then doing your due diligence on making sure that you work with the right person based on where you're at in business. And again, I'm going to go over that in a minute too, but more inventory, same thing. If you when you're just first starting your boutique, you don't want to go balls to the wall on, thousands and thousands of dollars of inventory because you're not going to be prepared to sell it yet. You need to generally, unless you have really proper marketing set up from the get-go, and maybe you have a following already, and this is a new venture for you. But otherwise, you want to start small on what you know that you're going to be able to sell, and then continue growing from there. So basically, a bad investment is when you make a decision that is a decision on what to invest in, that is counter to your goals, or just isn't in alignment with your goals, or just doesn't make sense for where you're at in business right now. So we made a little roadmap for you guys to kind of help. I know that some of this might sound a little complicated, okay, but where am I at? So here's the thing, and I'm just using these as an example, but you can, think about this in terms of whatever aspect of your business that you're thinking of investing in. So I'm going to just our roadmap is going to go over branding, logos, website, hiring a team. So we want to look at, what sort of things should you be investing in when you're just starting out versus 3 to 5 years in? So when you're just starting out, you're creating a vision for your brand and getting a basic logo, right? You're building a functioning website with quality product photos. You're defining and finding your ideal customers, and you're growing your email list or text club. So at this point in the game, for most, again, unless you have um, not only a lot of extra money on the personal end to invest, or an investor or something of that sort, but because here's the thing, just because you have the money too doesn't mean that you know how to properly invest it into your business. It's really easy to say, like, oh yeah, let's do the fanciest things for all of this, and then realize that you really didn't need to do that, and that money could have been spent better elsewhere, could be better spent. So when you're just starting out, for example, going to Etsy and getting a basic templated logo isn't a bad idea. Not everybody that's just starting out should really come in with a bang in terms of all of the branding and the website and the logo and the photography and everything, right? Start with what you have, and DIY is a great place to start, because here's the thing, you can always grow and expand on this. Get your feet wet in your business. Start to craft, because here's the thing, say that you spent, because I know that our rates for our packages are quite an investment, right? But they're actually quite competitive compared, especially when you consider like the quality of work that we're offering, the detail, like with your website and depth that we dive into, and all of that. For example, you can spend upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 on your branding alone with some other agencies. So if you were just starting out and you invested $10,000, let's just say five to keep it more realistic. If you invested $5,000, and this wasn't even your website, this was just your logo, your overall brand aesthetic, but you don't know on day one what you're going to know in even just a year or 3 years or 5 years. You're not going to know. You think that you know your ideal customer, and you think that you have a vision for your brand, but what if that changes literally in only 3 to 6 months and you had just invested all of that money? And here's the thing too, depending on, even though you're just starting out, maybe you're starting out with a boutique truck or a storefront, you spend this $5,000 on this elaborate brand. Okay, then you invest into a storefront signage, which is really expensive, or a boutique truck signage, again, really expensive, and all of the collateral for your business. This really adds up. And it's just, some businesses just starting out may be ready for all of that. But a lot of times, starting simple with a basic $50 logo on Etsy until you are really ready to dive in further. Not only that, but also now, say 6 months down the road, a year down the road, you have the money to invest from your business, from your actual profit, to invest in diving deeper. And you know so much more now about your own vision and about your customer. So just when you're starting out, you want to be really mindful of the things that you're doing. So for some of you guys, courses, may be a better fit as long as you're going to sit down and implement those courses, right? And again, DIYing what you can, getting things in place, even if it's temporary, like a temporary logo. That's okay. You don't have to have it all figured out right from day one. So then phase 2, where you're growing, you're going to want to start investing in brand design and photography services. You're going to want to start looking at upgrades and improvements for your website, getting better tools, both physical and digital. And you're going to want to think about using 10 to 20% of your revenue on marketing and branding. Again, you're reinvesting in your business to keep growing, not so that you don't just stay the same. And then phase 3, as you're starting to expand, you should be looking at optimizing your website to maximize sales. At this point, you should be driving traffic to your website. Again, make the absolute most out of that traffic. Think about things that will increase your average cart total and your conversion rate. increasing and expanding and or expanding your inventory, growing your team. So, outsourcing areas of your business, hiring a mentor or a consultant to help you level up. Next would be you're in the scaling phase. So you want to look at automating your systems and processes, making sure everything is really smooth, scalable, um, basically that your business, at least several aspects of it, could basically run without you, conceivably. Maximize the use of your marketing channels. Again, expand your team, hiring and outsourcing. And you want to think about investing 5 to 10% of your gross revenue in marketing and branding. So again, as you're growing, yes, you're going to be investing even more in things relevant to marketing and branding, and even expanding your team for that matter. But once you kind of hit that point where things are pretty well sorted out, from here it's just scaling. That's when you can invest a little bit less because all of the things are already in place. Now you're just trying to, keep growing. So, as a recap, it's not always just about when to invest, but where. So, in the beginning, focus on revenue generating activities, whatever is going to help you around selling your product. So, that's good photography, a website that works. It doesn't have to be perfect at that point. When you're scaling, though, you want to focus even more on your site. Now it does matter, right? Now every little thing matters that can help you to keep growing, driving traffic, generating revenue, and also, again, all of your systems and processes for everything you can think of. Everything should have a process. So along with all of this is another reminder. I like to always remind you guys to have that CEO mindset. So when you're looking at investments and whether this is a good decision for you, don't just look at right now and tomorrow. Look ahead like 6 to 12 months. Like, where do you want to be in 6 to 12 months? And you want to make your decision from that place. Okay, if I want to be here in a year, does this investment make sense right now? And so, like, with hiring someone, I always use this example of like, you don't have to think, say someone's going to be $5,000 a month. Like, you're bringing someone on full time, they're going to be a higher level employee, whatever the case is. Okay. So say you're looking at $5,000 a month. You don't need to know how you're going to bring in an extra $5,000 a month every single month for the next year. What you need to know is, can I afford to lose 1 to 2 months worth of that person's salary? Can I afford to lose that money? Like, will that be the end of the world for me? Because sometimes that helps to think like, okay, if this position doesn't help, because in the end, each position should help you continue to grow and scale, right? Or whatever the case is. But you don't need to have all of the answers. You just need to know where you want to be in that 6 to 12 months. So, because it goes twofold, like, can I afford to lose 1 to 2 months of salary, giving this position a try that I think that we need for our business? But also, to get to where I want to be in a year, am I going to need this person? Okay, then, why wait, basically. Know when to let go of all of those hats and start doubling down on your own goals. Because it's really easy, we all start, when we start our business, we're all wearing all the hats, and you can keep wearing all of those hats forever if you'd like, but you need to start letting go of some of those in order to fry bigger fish. Basically, you won't have the time, energy, or space to be able to do that. And again, always relate any investment decisions back to your goals. So if you want more revenue, then focus on revenue generating activities or investments. Again, DIY at the beginning if you have to, but as you grow, you want to be taking some of those hats off so you can get out of the weeds and have time to fry those bigger fish. If you want more traffic, invest in your site. What are investments you can make for that? Speeding up your site, paid ads, organic traffic marketing, a new look for your site, Again, always relate it back to your goals. And if you want more time out of your business, focus on outsourcing. What investments can you make to help clear your plate so that you can focus on what really matters and what's really going to move the needle for your business? What can you automate through your systems? What sort of team members can you hire? Um, so this is just another little guideline document that we made for you guys is, thinking about investments in terms of what is your goal? Do you want to optimize your time? Or do you want to increase website traffic and sales revenue? And listen, I know it can be easy to think this is always the goal, but these should both be your goal at different points in your business. Because when you can clear your own plate, you're going to be much better positioned to focus on the things that are going to have an impact on your revenue. So think about what your goal is right now with this particular thing. And you can think of it as just say that there's just one thing that you're trying to do. Say that you're like, oh, I want to get product descriptions off my plate. Now, do you want to get product descriptions off your plate simply to save time or to actually increase sales revenue? Because see, here's the difference. If you just want to save time, just hire a VA at $15 an hour and be done with it, right? That would be getting product descriptions off your plate. But if your goal is to actually increase revenue because of your product descriptions, that's a whole nother matter. At that point, you want to pull someone in that's more of an expert with, e-commerce copy, like what is going to actually, help convince your customer to buy when they hit your product page. So those are two different things. And again, it's not right or wrong. It's where you're at in your business and what makes sense for you right now. So what's your goal? And then is your business established? Yes or no? Can you outsource or automate? So this is just another helpful document that I would check out, as well as the roadmap in order to kind of figure out what decisions you should be making based on where you're at. So I know this was a lot, but I hope it was helpful.
Okay, so wherever you're at in your biz, we get it. We've been there. That's why we created packages to serve you e-com shop owners at whatever point you're at in your business. Because at the end of the day, you simply can't do everything yourself. You just have to choose what will be the most impactful for you to get, the return on your investments so that you can keep growing and keep reinvesting back into your biz to keep growing even more. And again, if you love our stuff, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when we post new videos. Cheers! Need more? Check out the blog at hotmessblog.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel too. Cheers!